It's here, the anti-meta guide. I'm Ga, this is 7 Mortal Sins. Welcome. Before we jump into it, if you haven't seen the meta guide, go watch that first, because how are you going to know how to counter the meta if you don't know what the meta is? And today, I'm joined with Lord Levy from the Discord. Right up there, you actually get a face reveal. Say sup.
Oh yeah, they get to see the voodoo black magic. I
Yeah.
don't know how to go about this though. I don't know what the meta is. I never played this game before.
No, dummy, I said say sup.
Oh, say sup? What's
Yeah.
up?
Yeah. There you go. Okay, so we're going to jump into some anti-meta shenanigans. Just to recap what the meta is, it's basically just speed and crowd control. So how do we go about countering that?
Your meta isn't necessarily speed and crowd control. As much as I admire that thought process, you got to think of all the other shits getting thrown in there. Maybe I should. I don't know. Countering your meta is going to be a lot different now. So you run meta build already yourself, so you got a pretty general gist of it, yeah.
Yeah.
So there's hard and fast rules with it right now. Your meta is going to come into a few things of what can you do to counter your crowd control, what can you do to keep yourself alive, and what can you do to stop your opponent's speed. That's your three main questions you have to answer with this current meta.
Yeah.
So the first two answers, and I'm waiting to see this happen. There's two answers altogether, and I've only seen one person do it so far. Chocolate Asteroid is going to be your first answer. You yourself know exactly why that answer exists.
Yep. Yeah, she's a pain in the ass.
Her passive buff, her steady, is the exact reason that exists.
Yeah.
Keeping your getting their move gauge, which you don't necessarily need Chocolate Asteroid for.
Right. There's another character that does that.
So if we all remember, Summer Luciana does exist. The big key thing is stopping move gauge reduction.
Mm-hmm.
So if you use your Summer Luciana, that is a Awaker support that can stop the move gauge reduction.
Yep.
The problem you're going to do is you need answers otherwise for other things, and you only get one leader skill. So if you use Summer Luciana, you've now taken away other possibilities.
Yeah.
The first thing you have to keep in mind. Second answer, which can be answered by two things as well, is you need to stop your opponent's move gauge, right? First and foremost, easiest way to do this is the original Raphael. If you were here for our race car titty video, find her OG form. You find that, that's your first answer to any of the move gauge boosters.
Mm-hmm.
The fun thing to know about this, OG Rap does not count as headwind. That I have learned because of Christmas Satan.
Oh.
Christmas Satan is immune to headwind.
Right.
Graph gives you a debuff called Zero Acceleration. They differ. So if you have OG Wrath, you can actually stop a Christmas Satan too.
Okay.
So, just a fun fact, I learned that through experimentation against Ryu.
Nice.
Which, I'm not talking about Street Fighter, I'm talking about Play.
Yeah.
So just, that's a fun fact there.
Yeah, it's really good that she has her own themed
Yep.
headwind.
Original rap is very fun. If people want to learn how to make her, I know exactly how you build her.
Yeah, this in my opinion is probably like the #1 anti-meta pick.
OG rap?
Yeah.
100%. The move gauge boosting is like one of the biggest things right now. If OG rap, it's done.
Yeah. Another good pick is Cherry Seer as well. I mean, I know hers is Headwind, but for everybody else that isn't Christmas Satan, she's going to stop them from getting move gauge.
So yeah, that is anti-meta pick. I'm glad you brought her up because I was about to forget to. But also keep in mind that in and of itself is another leader skill. So if you use Cherry Seer, you don't get Luciana.
Right.
You have to pick your awaker based on what you have and what you don't have.
Yeah.
If you're going.
Yeah, so like a good combination would be either like Choco Astaroth plus Cherry Seer, or like OG Raph plus Summer Luciana.
We'll get into where that can change too. So now comes the second part of the meta that you're gonna have to answer, right? So in your video, you explained it yourself. Heavy crowd control is the second meta. The big things to keep in mind here is what you have to answer. I hate this new patch because of character release.
Yeah.
Wasn't looking forward to producer coming out at all.
I was super hyped.
This just means everybody's going to be running the same exact thing now. I'm not looking forward to that.
Yeah, we'll see what people come up with.
I mean, there's still answers. I wasn't looking forward to it because I don't feel like dealing with every person running the same exact thing, because we know what's about to happen. So you're looking at a heavy crowd control team. I'm going to throw out there what the meta is going to end up becoming until Deer Sharks. So I guarantee you here in probably the next week or two, the team you're going to be looking at is probably going to be Hero Gab, Michael, Xmas Satan, or not Xmas Satan, what am I talking about?
Xmas Lucy.
Xmas Lucifer, and Producer. That's probably going to be your big four that you're going to start seeing on everybody's team. Because there's going to be no answer to this right now.
Yeah.
If people really want to be rude, they'll throw Chocolate Nana in as the fifth, because then you're dealing with 5 different things you have to count.
Oh yeah, like it's pretty much guaranteed your whole team's going down turn 1 to some kind of crowd control.
Bingo. So there are answers to this, and I'll go through them one at a time. So the biggest one that is going to be the most difficult to counter is going to be Michael. She has the least answers for stuns. There's only one, and that is the original Nam.
Mm-hmm.
If you're going for first turn stuns, you are going to need OG Nam. She's the only one that gives you stun immunity outside of Gunslinger Lucifer. Gunslinger Lucifer answers both Pangea or Panagia, however you pronounce her name.
I think it's Panagia.
She's the only one that will answer her and Lucifer. No, Michael. Yeah, Michael. Michael's the one that stuns. So Producer and Michael both get answered by Gunslinger Lucifer. She is immune to both stun and confuse, so that stops both of them. However, the rest of your team is not immune. So if you have Inanna, your full team gets immunity to stun.
Mm-hmm.
Only way you are immune to stun outside of one character.
Yeah, but if you bring...
Other than, of course, you can use Metatron, the original Metatron.
Yep.
It does give your highest attack their CC immunity. That should be self-explanatory.
Yeah.
If you have G Metatron, 2 of your units are safe here.
Yeah. I was going to bring her up.
The original Sandalphon also saves. Producer herself will also save. So if you have Metatron, Producer, and original Sandalphon, that'll be 4 characters that are immune to CC. At the very least.
Yeah. You could also bring OG Gabby as well.
Yeah, you can make a team that's completely immune to CC immunity, but your synergy is really going to lack at that point.
Yeah.
So that's a lot of characters for not a lot of output.
Right.
So at least in terms of Michael, if you want to counter that as an opener stun, you have to have OG Nana.
Mm-hmm.
She's the one that's going to stop stuns.
Right. But if you bring OG Nona, then that kind of locks you out of your supporter skill. So then you won't be able to bring like Cherry Seer. You won't be able to bring Summer Luciana.
Correct. So that will lock you. Any of the picks I'm about to give you are going to lock you out of your skill.
Mm-hmm.
Because you can only have one. So I'm going to give you the base. If you have these Awakers, this is your answer. At the end of it, I have the general team that you can use in any situation, and it will. Granted, if you're going up against a whale that's got plus 15 everything, you're going to lose. If you're not fully built like them and plus 15 every single thing you have, you're going to lose. There's no doubt about that. Whaling is the ultimate. But if you're trying to free to play, you're not trying to be the number one person in arena, most of this will.
Mm-hmm.
So
yeah,
covered. Also, Michael's answer is the original Nana. I will go with the easiest one to answer now, which is going to be producer. So the big thing, at least reading through her kit as it is you need to keep your damage reduction buffs away if you're going to fight producer.
Yeah.
Because she starts going nuts if you have it. And the other big thing to answer is a plus 15 producer, which my counterpart here in this video with me decided he wants to have.
Yeah. I love her so much.
Taking the pot shot, the person that keeps making fun of him for his meta ways would be me.
Yeah.
The answer to producer is going to be chocolate Nana.
Really?
So both forms of Nana are actually the answer to producer right now. Well, I guess I should say answer to the meta right now.
Oh yeah, she's immune to confuse.
Yes. The fun fact to chocolate Nana. So her support skill, she will randomly charm an opponent on the very first turn of the match. So you get your own opening first turn CC, which most people don't run charm immunity anymore.
Right, because Asmo's kind of fallen off the meta.
Correct.
And fun fact, in addition to that, she also grants all allies immunity to confuse for 4 turns.
Bingo. And since producer can confuse 3 enemies at plus 15, Chocolate Nana has a huge viability.
Yep.
There is one Awaker that does give you confuse immune. I don't remember which Awaker it is off the top of my head.
It's...
I didn't care about.
Yeah, they're not good enough to mention, apparently. It's not Punica, is it? No, it's not.
Is it? I don't think it is.
No.
I think it one's... No, that's not her. Not Punica. Not Zoe. Not Claire. Which one is it? I gotta be straight with you. I don't remember which Awaker it is.
Yeah.
There's one, and I know there is.
Yeah, if we can't remember, they're probably not good enough to make it into the anti-meta team anyway.
I mean, they can be. There's a couple Awakers that are notable. If you don't have Chocolate Nana, it's not like it's the worst to have. Oh wow, it's the one I wouldn't even have thought of, and you can probably guess why I don't like her. It's Stolas.
Stolas gives your whole team confuse immunity?
Yep. I'm looking at her right now. She has a leader skill, which is immunity to confuse.
Oh. Well,
at the start of Stolas' turn, removes all allies' confused status. So it's not necessarily confused and immune more than it is fast, she purges it.
Yeah, like you're basically, if you wanted to run this, your whole team would have to be slower than Stolas to get max value off of it.
Which, I mean, you can still make her pretty quick. You would just that would be like a min-max type of method.
Yeah.
But I think there's still one more on top of her, though. Pretty sure there's one that is a leader skill. There has to be.
It was pinned in the Discord. For when Vortex was around.
That's who it is. It's Noach, the zombie girl.
Ah, yeah, 4-star. Don't run her.
Yep, her passive skill is you get 4 turns of confuse immunity for your team.
Gotcha.
That is the answer there. So yes, that is 3 answers you can potentially have that are relatively cheap investment. The only problem you have with Chocolate Nana is she was an Adventist exclusive,
Mm-hmm.
so you're kind of just waiting for a rerun of her if you're gonna get her.
Yeah. Like I'd say the
So
easiest thing to do would be to base your team around OG Nona as your awaker, and kind of build up your team around her.
you're not wrong, but I'll get to that later. Um, so with producer answer, that's honestly she's probably the easiest one to answer.
Mm.
Because the rest of them kind of fall into that niche category where if it's truly a concern, you would want the answer, but if not, it's kind of eh.
Yeah.
So we have Christmas Lucifer and we have Hero Dad to answer. Christmas Lucifer, honestly,
Belial.
I mean,
You can answer with Belial.
look, Belial is an answer.
Yeah.
You could use Summer Lucifer to answer her. You could use Zoe to answer her. You could use either Leviathan to answer her.
I feel like there's way more freeze immunities in this game than any other immunity.
Freeze has become a joke, which kind of sucks because you know the characters that I love,
Yeah.
and their CC is all freeze.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, freeze is a joke. Like it was when it first came out, it was probably the strongest. Like when the game started, it was one of the strongest CCs you could have.
Yeah.
Because of the advent of Summer Lucifer, you've got Zoe with the support skill. You've got Christmas Satan, who's completely immune to freeze to begin with. You've got both levies that are immune to freeze. Like, there's too many answers.
Yeah.
I mean, Belong will just purge it, so freeze is a joke.
Yeah, it kind of sucks. I mean,
Lucifer, honestly, the easiest one out of like any character to answer for, because I gotta be honest with you, even fighting Christmas Lucifers, she's no real threat. Even with the starting freezes, she's kind of just a joke. Good character for good DPS, don't get me wrong.
Yeah.
If you're gonna use PvE, still a good character.
Mm-hmm.
If you're gonna use PvP, she's a pretty big joke.
Well, that's partly because of how strong red is in the meta. So with all like the red cores running around, she kind of struggles with that.
Pretty much. So, like, Christmas Lucifer is just a giant joke now. There's no ifs, ands, or buts with that. It's like she's the absolute easiest one to just, you don't even have to think about her being in the team. Unless you're a person that doesn't run anything that has any sort of reason.
Mm-hmm.
Because, Raven from our server, I mean, he fights me all the time, and he's got one answer. If he fights me, he uses his Christmas Lucifer. Or not his Christmas Lucifer, sorry. His Summer Lucifer. Because
Gotcha.
she gives his whole team freezing. So, if he doesn't use her, he loses immediately.
That's funny.
That's how that works, is like, if his Christmas, there's too many Lucifers. If his Summer Lucifer is in his team, he wins. If he's not, he immediately loses.
Yeah.
And because of the power that the Leviathans have.
Yeah.
Because if you fight an OG levy, your highest attack is frozen.
Mm-hmm.
If you fight a Summer levy, if she casts her S2, 3 of your units are frozen. So that's the big thing, is like the units that have freeze have a lot of it.
Yeah.
So, I mean, freeze is easy to answer, but if you don't answer it, good luck.
Yeah. Oh, probably my number one, in my opinion, my number one pick, because I don't have OG Raphael built, but for anti-meta, for me, you brought up the issue of survivability. right? So first you got to counter move gauge, whether it's buffs or nukes, and then you got to counter CC. Well, my first pick, my go-to pick for survivability is Gen Sandy.
General Sandy. So we'll get more into the team building part of it. Just I do want to make sure we get the answers in first
Mm-hmm.
before we team builds, if that's okay.
For sure.
The last one we have to answer for like full meta right now is gonna be Hero.
Oh,
And
yeah.
she is an interesting one to answer herself. So the things to remember is how Hero Gap functions, because she will change based on who you are fighting and how built they are.
Mm-hmm.
So the first thing to say is a Hero Gap at +8 will require more answers than a Hero Gap below +8.
Makes sense.
So at +8, the change is her opening stuns change from being a specific stat type, which is tech units, to any.
Ah.
So if it's a hero gap that is not +8, that is +7 or lower, her daze is specific to the highest speed tech units.
So if you don't have any tech characters on your team, she does nothing.
Exactly.
Below +8, that is.
+8 and you have no tech, she's already answered. If she is +8, it is the highest 2 speed characters. So if you were to fight me, pulling up my team, my General Sandalphon and my Speed Raphael would both be the ones targeted by a hero gap, because they are my 2 fast.
Gotcha.
It does count it after any speed boosts. So if I were to use you as an example, and you were using your Lucifer would be the first target.
Mm-hmm. Oh, and just so you guys can see real quick, to check out how invested your opponent is, before you hit attack on the arena page, if you just tap and hold on one of their characters, it will pull up their profile for the character, and you can take a look at like all their stats, like level, skill investment, all their HP, all that kind of stuff.
So if you have a hero gap you need to answer, say they're +15 and you've got to worry about that daze, there's actually several answers to it. One of them is actually OG Raphael. She's immune to daze. So if you have an OG Raphael and she's one of your fastest, she will not get dazed. She is completely immune to it. And a specific to Hero Gab is her power increases if she hits a unit that is dazed. So if you can end the daze, you cut her power.
Gotcha.
Which that's why she has the opening daze, is so she can jump in and hit the units that are dazed and, power. So if you have an answer to it, you cut her immediately in terms of the opening stun and her power output. So OG Raph serves you twice. And she is completely immune to daze, and she'll stop move gauge increases on your opponents. The second answer is the unit we did our guide on, the one I love the most, Speed Raphael. She's also immune to daze.
Nice. Seems to be a running theme with Raphael.
Yep, and chances are she's going to be your top speed on your team. There's almost no ifs, ands, or buts with that. She's probably the fastest one you got, unless you're running an original Lucifer. Hero Gab also counters herself. Or running a Hero Gab against a Hero Gab's immune to daze.
Nice.
So chances are with her speed boost, she's going to be one of your fastest still, because she'll hit probably the same amount of speed as an original Lucifer.
Mm-hmm.
So that's 3 units off the top of my head that I know they're immune to daze already out of the gate. And 2 of them are pretty easy answers. Because remember with Speed Raphael, she's a blue. So if you got her, she's fast, and most likely she's going to target Hero Gap and counter. So answers other than that, one of them is Sylvia. That is a, I believe, 4-star Awaker. She will give your whole team immunity to daze. So that is an immediate answer for that daze situation. However, like we said before, that is your leader skill. So if you use her, you lose your leader skill.
Yeah.
So that's the key things to remember. Hero Gap is relatively easy to have an answer for. Her biggest thing is she's really fast, but there's several units immune to daze that you can use to answer that daze. As being with the anti-meta already, having units that are immune to certain things already out of the gate on their own without a leader skill are how you want to answer things, because it prevents you from using that important spot that you need for a leader skill you probably need.
Makes sense. All right, so I think that pretty much covers everything, right?
Correct. And then we can hit the team builds real quick.
Yeah.
There's a pretty cool, like, cut and dry way to do it.
Mm-hmm.
For 2 to 3-ish units, that'll answer pretty much anything you're looking at. The only part I'm going to mention before that, or 2 parts I should say, if you use OG Metatron, you probably don't need too many answers, because the big thing is that your DPS doesn't get stopped. If you have a fully built original Metatron, you're pretty much good to go.
Yeah.
She's going to give everybody their CC immune, and then you can just walk along and not care what you're looking at.
Mm-hmm. She's one of the best anti-meta characters right now.
She's going to be the best anti-meta character almost all people, to be honest with you.
Yeah.
Unless someone walks in with, like, unless we have something walk in that can purge buffs like that, which there's one character that actually does exist that I found out. And
Oh, yeah?
I'll be plenty happy to do that guy with you.
Okay. Who is it?
Tell anybody what it is yet. If they are good at context clues, they'll know what it is. Because we've already made some suggestions as to what it is.
Is it OG Raph?
I mean, technically you're not wrong, but that's not the character I'm thinking about. You know the character I'm thinking about, because that's the thing we were talking about for later this week.
Gotcha.
So you know who it is, they don't know. So answers to meta right now. And I'm going to pick on you a little bit. If you want to be cheeky to people, pull in low-speed characters that have damage reduction on them. Because people love messing with move gauge, so if you pull a really weak character with Attila or a gunslinger Lucifer, you can stall them out, so someone will just get really mad at you when they randomly lose because they can't kill your character.
Yeah. Keep in mind that only works on defense, though.
It does only work on defense, but if you do 9 runs and then decide to lose one, you can choose to be rude to somebody.
What he's saying is you can choose violence.
You can, in fact, choose violence. That is an option here. So, if you're going to answer the meta with your own team, hot and dry, the first 2 things you need on your team are a chocolate Astaroth and a original Raphael. That's going to be the first 2 units on any anti-meta team right now, which is technically meta because you're using chocolate Astaroth.
Yeah, you know,
Much meta.
you can still use a couple of meta characters and have an anti-meta team.
Basically what you're looking at is a team like mine. Because as much as anyone wants to argue that I am meta, I am more anti-meta with a splash of meta.
Yeah.
So, Chocolate Astaroth and Original Raphael, that's going to be your first two things that you'll pretty much need on your team.
Mm-hmm.
The answers are pretty simple. You stop the move gauge reductions altogether with both of them on your team. You can't be reduced, they can't increase.
Yep.
So that's why the two are the cut and dry, they need to be there.
Yeah.
The other answer is exactly what you were saying. If you are super, super worried about the opening crowd controls, you would want Original Nana. So, he is the only answer to stun in this game right now.
Mm-hmm.
Nobody else gives you stun immunity at all. So if you want to stop a Michael, or at least stop her stuns, you would need OG. However, you are going to be weighing at this point what you want to stop everything. So I myself would be more worried about Producer and her confuses. Your casts can cast their own skills on your team if they are confused.
Yep.
So say you're fighting God, and you pop a Producer in, and she decides to confuse his Christmas Satan on the first turn. She just reduced his team's move gauge as opposed to yours. That's why you have to be worried about that.
Yeah.
So that's one big problem with that. If I'm going to go with anything, I would use a confuse immune. There's other answers to this, however. So as opposed to Original Nana, you can kind of circumvent things. If you want to use Chocolate Nana, that is, she will give your full team their damage, and she will give them their confusion. That will work. I personally would use Christmas Satan if you have her with her Blood Pact. So if you are familiar with her Blood Pact for her skill 4, it will switch her from being immune to Charm to being immune to Confuse. You can answer the confusion in that method. Assuming that your opponent does not have a Chocolate Astaroth on their team, that helps you answer that.
Yeah, that's the whale option, though.
That is the whale option. So I'm purely throwing that out there as that is an answer, albeit not the best answer. Other answers that exist are Gunslinger Lucifer, who is immune to both stun and confuse. So if you choose to have her as your DPS, she will stop Michael from stopping her, and she will not be confused by Producer.
Right.
In terms of core units, General Sandalphon should be your third pick. She is immune to confuse. So if you have the three we've already discussed, you've got your Chocolate Astaroth, you've got your OG Raphael, and you have General Sandalphon. So you're stopping move gauges, and Sandy will be immune to the confuses.
Yep.
So that is another method of doing it. The other options I would pick, they can really vary. So being cheeky like I am, I would do Chocolate Nana still, and I would do probably like something that can tick people for their attack power, because you're going to be facing a lot of just pure attack power at this point.
Someone with some good DOT.
If you can get Chino whaled enough, she's going to start to become super overpowered. Because that plague stack will start to wreck people.
Yeah.
140% of their own damage is going to hurt.
Yeah. Also, if you're looking for another DOT character with high DOT damage, Producer actually has that on her skill 1. It's like 140%.
Yeah. There's a lot of crazy damage in these units right now. But the big three is your 3-4 should be General Sandalphon, OG Rap, and Chocolate Asteroid. That's the big three where they're going to be your best chance at answering the meta. with how many different things you have to account for, there isn't a 5-person team that's going to cover it. There isn't. You
Right.
need too many support skills right now to do.
Yep.
So there isn't will answer every single stun and every single move gauge thing right now.
Yeah.
When we get shards, then you'll get your answer. Because Deer Shards will pretty much make it where you can answer all the stuns and you can answer the move gauges. So that'll change things. Those haven't come out yet though, so the best answer you have, OG Wrath, Chocolate Astaroth, General Sin. Your choices past that point really depend on what you have built. Me personally, OG Lucifer is going to still be huge in answering some of this because you can stop some of the speedy characters.
Yeah.
Christmas Satan will still be huge because if they don't happen to run their own Chocolate Astaroth, I mean, her move gauge reduction will be huge.
Yeah. Yeah, dude, like Christmas Satan just blowing out everyone's move gauge if they don't have Choco Asta is wild.
Other notable ones, Gunslinger Lucifer is still going to be huge for her speed reductions, her purging of all damage reductions type of deal.
Mm.
Personally, I think Gunslinger Lucifer is probably the best DPS choice you can look at right now.
Yeah, she's very strong.
But Chocolate Astaroth existing is really going to hurt Christmas Satan. And if they have a Gunslinger Lucifer on top of that Chocolate Astaroth, then your Xmas Satan's probably getting one shot.
Yeah. Yeah.
So that's going to be a key thing there. Summer Levy is actually a pretty decent DPS for this. However, I'm going to make this clear to everyone here and now. As much as I love Leviathan, if they are running producer, you are screwing yourself if you use her. Because producer very much counters Summer Leviathan. So keep that in mind with your teams you are using against these characters.
Mm-hmm.
Original Leviathan will still be a great pick purely for the speed boosts. You don't necessarily need to have a dedicated DPS with Chocolate Astaroth on your team.
Right.
And that's because her really broken attack boosting that she does.
Yeah.
If you have a well-built original Raphael sitting alongside a Chocolate Astaroth, she can do crazy damage.
Yeah.
Other notable ones, like I said, original Lucifer will be big. She's always been solid all around. Belial is always going to be broken and always will be.
Yep.
So, I mean, if you have a built Belial, as much as I think everyone should unsummon her, she's still going to be a great answer.
Yeah.
Feel ill saying that. Hero Gab is going to be notably big in this right now, too. If you have her on that team, it's going to be great. And I mean, I get that some of this is we're picking the meta characters, but these are the best answers you're going to be able to use with this.
All right, and just remember, no matter what team you build right now, you're never going to be able to counter everything. So you should really kind of focus in on exactly what you want to counter, and then cherry pick your matches in PvP so that you can go up against the teams that your team is built to counter.
Correct. Because someone's always going to come along that you're not going to escape that one. Someone will always have the better whale team. But those are really the most notable of the changes. If you want some like extra supports in there that could work for it, if you're playing like Jade, the double Beelzebub combo with that current setup is pretty threatening. And because of all the HP craziness, especially with Beels getting her consonants this week.
Yeah.
So he applies her debuff, she does like, I think it's 10 to 12% of her HP is
Oh,
damaged.
at +6, her constant skill does +15% of her HP as additional damage.
Yeah, so I mean, like, if you do the double Beals lineup, you can do some crazy damage to
Yeah.
people, especially because your health bar is going to be nuts.
Mm-hmm.
Even with a lineup like that, like, if I had both of the Beals, I would do that, and I would add my cheerleader Metatron into it. Because on top of having, and this is off of my own Beals, the boost they get from being together to the rest of your team, if I used all of my greens, most of my tech units would have like 60 to 70,000 health. And if you add cheerleader Metatron on top of that, they're getting almost another 20k worth of shield health.
Yeah.
So you're figure out how to drop your units by almost 80k.
Right. Yeah. Like that's the other way you could go about it too, rather than just trying to cherry pick counters to specific mechanics. You can just build like a full-on big beefy tank team that is practically impossible to kill without ridiculous amounts of damage.
And if you're going to go that route, I'm going to tell you quite honestly, the answer to it is to use Chocolate Astaroth, both of the Beals, so you would need event Beals and regular Beals, a Chino, and an alt Metatron. The Chino is in there for her plague stacks and the fact that her heals are almost your entire health bar when she casts her skill 3.
She also provides regeneration for your team for the first few turns, so they can kind of shrug off any chip damage.
Basically, if you use that setup, you will practically not die unless an absolutely insane amount of damage.
Yeah.
Because I don't think there's any unit in this game that's going to one-shot 80k health.
No, not that I've seen. Not unless your defense is at like 1, like you can do to guild raid bosses.
I don't even think you'd be able to do that. You would need someone that's basically attack capped with where we're at right now.
Yeah.
I think the only one that actually can get that much attack in this game, if you build her pure attack, is actually Chino right now. And that's with her consonants maxed out.
Really?
But her consonants and her super Evo maxed out, I should say. Her consonants gives her, I think it's like an extra 30% attack.
Oh, dang. Yeah, I didn't know that.
Yeah. So but the problem is it doesn't really, it's good, but for how the character works, it's pretty meh.
Yeah.
Like, I think that's why that consonant exists, is her big thing is her dots.
Yeah.
But her dots scale off of your opponent's attack, not yours.
Right.
So if she has this crazy extra 30% worth of attack, okay, well that's cool, but you're not getting anything out.
Yeah.
Like if it was 40% plague damage on your attack power, that would be awesome. Because that would be a ton of damage. That would be a Chino where you could build her pure attack with her super Evo, with her consonants skill too.
Mm-hmm.
And she would probably have, I would imagine, close to like 9 to 10k attack. And
Dang.
if your damage output caps at 10 times of your attack, you're hitting almost 90,000 to 100,000 damage on the dot. And I also don't know if the dot actually apply off of your defense too.
That's a good question. I feel like it should, right?
I don't have the answer to that. I can only extrapolate from other games that I have played. And I know when I have played other games similar to this, a damage over time tick does not apply on your defense. That's where the trick comes in with this. I don't know if in this game it applies on your defense. And the reason I say that is, let me see if it's still on there. it doesn't even say it for Levy. Okay. So a damage tick like Levy, it specifies that it'll do 75% of her attack damage, but it does not say it applies on their defense. However, if you happen to have Summer Levy and you look down at her percentage HP damage, in parentheses, it specifies that this damage is affected by the target's defense.
Okay.
So that I'm looking at. I don't think that damage over time applies on defenses.
That's really good then.
That's just a neat thing that I have noticed that you can kind of keep in mind is if dot does not apply on defense, there is huge damage output in dot, which is probably why characters like Mammon and Chino are so good.
Yeah.
Just fun things.
Yeah.
In terms of anti-meta, that's what you're looking at right now.
Yeah.
If you're going to go for it, OG Rap and Chocolate Astaroth are your two main answers to pretty much anything you're going to run into right now. Stopping move gauges, that's the big thing. Everybody is running pumps that are based off of move gauge. I don't know if you have Limbus open right now, Kyle.
I do.
If you happen to see me on there, looking at the characters I use, you can see that I've got a couple that, play around with move gauges.
Let's see. I just refreshed. I didn't see you there the first time.
Fair enough. Well, I mean, any person will do depending on what they have, but the reason I was picking up myself is if you look at Speed Raphael, we covered it in the video on her. Speed Raphael's turn is a 75% move gauge up if she takes her action. OG Raph stops. At 0 acceleration goes, no, you're not getting that boost. General Sandalpop, she is a 35% move gauge up. OG Raph says no. Go for Lucifer, boosts her own move gauge if she kills a unit or if she uses her skill 2. OG Raph says no. Leviathan and Chocolate Knob, both of them reduce move gauges. Your Chocolate Astaroth will say no. Characters in the meta, Michael will boost move gauge, Sariel will boost move gauge. Again, Raphael tells you no, you can't do that.
Right.
Xmas Satan will reduce yours. Okay, your Chocolate Astaroth just said no, you can't do that. So that's the big thing is everybody's running move gauge manipulation.
Yeah.
So the minute you take that away, it gets a lot harder.
Yeah. That's true. All right, so let's break down a quick summary real quick before we end the video. So the biggest components to anti-meta are shutting down move gauge, both your opponent's acceleration and your deceleration, and then finding outs to crowd control, whether that's through specific status immunities or just going outright full tank, and then...
The specific thing for your crowd control is to pick it based on what you're fighting.
Right.
You're not going to have an answer to all of it all the time.
Right.
You need to what you think is the biggest threat.
And then trying to slow down your opponent, basically. Like, you just want to live, and then you want to make them not live, simply put.
That's a way to put it.
Yes. Alive your team, unalive opponent team. Job's a good one.
Guys, on to something, everyone.
Right? All right, Levy. Anything you wanted to say before I close out the video?
Levy, best girl.
All right, sounds good. All right, guys, we'll see you in the next one, and peace.